Today's lesson is Fact or Fiction? The Truth Behind Animal Idioms. Day 1. Hello, everyone. I'm Roger.
And I'm Kelsey.
And today, Kelsey and myself are going to be talking about animals. Animals are lovable, they're furry, they're cuddly, especially if we have a puppy or a cat as our pets. Do you have any pets, Kelsey?
I don't have any pets right now, but I used to. I grew up with 3 cats and a dog as well, so I am definitely an animal lover myself. How about you?
Indeed. Yes, indeed. I love animals as well. Right now, I don't have any pets, but we've got several stray cats that kind of hang out by our house, so I sometimes feed them and set up little beds for them for the wintertime, but we don't want them in the house. They probably got fleas and stuff like that, but if you know about animals and you're around animals a lot, you will know that language often has idioms that are about animals, or we use the names of animals to have in our idioms, and we're going to be talking about some of those today. But fact or fiction, the truth behind animal idioms, and that just means that sometimes the idioms aren't exactly correct. They are assuming some things about animals that aren't really true. But we'll talk about that as our lesson ensues. So let's get to it, everybody. Let's listen to the first part of our lesson right now.
Fact or fiction? The truth behind animal idioms. The animal world has given rise to a wealth of idioms in English. Some of these are based on fact. For instance, if you're moving or doing something slowly, you are said to be going at a snail's pace. Meanwhile, a person who looks at someone or something really closely is watching like a hawk.
大家好，今天第一个单字我们看到的是 fiction， 这个字当作名词，代表虚构、虚构的事或是小说的意思。例如 The story Kevin told us about his weekend was complete fiction. Kevin 告诉我们有关他这个周末的故事完全是虚构的事。
Okay, welcome back, everybody, and let's get started with our lesson. So before we go into the meat of our article, we're going to take a look at the title. So we have Fact or Fiction, the truth behind animal idioms. So fiction, this word here, means not true or made up. Basically, it's the opposite of fact.
Indeed. So example, I could say, fact or fiction, are UFOs real? Are aliens really coming to the Earth, or are people just making this up? But in this particular case, we're talking about animal idioms, these kind of phrases that include animals, or at least talk about animals. So here we go. In the first part, it says, the animal world has given rise to a wealth of idioms in English. So here we have the phrase to give rise to something, which kind of means to make it possible for something to happen.
Yeah, it means to inspire something or to cause something to happen. And in this case, the animal world has inspired many idioms. So we have this word, a wealth, in this sentence as well. And as I said, a wealth is just many. So many idioms in English came from the animal world.
Like I said, there is a wealth of different kinds of food to eat here in Taiwan. You could say that. It just means there's a large quantity of something. We've got lots of English idioms that include animals. Some of these are based on fact, which means that some of these idioms do describe animals in the way they really behave. For instance, for example, if you're moving or doing something slowly, you are said to be going at a snail's pace. A snail is kind of a small crustacean or something, and it's known for moving really slow, right?
Yeah, snails move really slowly, as everyone knows. So it makes sense to say that if you're going slow, you're going at a snail's pace. So you're moving just as slowly as a snail would.
So that is based on fact, right? Because snails do move slowly. And that's one particular example of an animal idiom. And meanwhile, at the same time, a person who looks at someone or something really closely is watching like a hawk or watching somebody like a hawk. A hawk is kind of like an eagle-like bird, right?
Yeah, and they hunt down their prey. So I guess they need to watch their prey very carefully. So if you're watching something very carefully, you're observing it, just like a hawk would observe its prey. That's why we would say watching like a hawk.
So this phrase probably wouldn't work as well if you said watching like a pigeon or something like that. Pigeons don't really pay much attention to what's going around them. They're always just pecking at the ground.
Yeah, I don't think that watching like a pigeon would be quite as effective as watching like a hawk.
Okay, so hawks are expert hunters. They are predators, so watch out for them. I don't think I've seen any hawks here in Taiwan, but I have seen eagles. There's like the crested serpent eagle that I hear from time to time flying overhead. I guess they like to hunt snakes. But in any case, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson. Let's go on now to the next part. We'll listen first.
However, many animal-related expressions are less literal. One such example is the phrase blind as a bat, which is used to describe someone who has missed seeing something very obvious. But in contrast to what this idiom suggests, bats are not completely blind. In fact, they can navigate more effectively than humans. The difference is that bats don't use their eyes to navigate, instead producing sounds that bounce off surrounding objects and let them know what's around them.
第二部分我们看到的单字是 navigate， 这个字当作动词，它有辨识方位或是导航的意思。所以我们可以说 After living here for 2 years, I can navigate the city streets and back alleys with ease. 在这里生活2年后，我可以轻松的在城市的大街小巷中穿梭。再来，我们看到的单字是 bounce， 这个字当作动词，代表反弹、反射的意思。例如 As the ball bounced down the stairs, the dog chased after it. 球往下弹时，那只狗追着它跑。
Okay, welcome back, everybody. So it's time for the next part of our lesson. And we had just heard a little bit about how many idioms in the English language have come from the animal world or have been inspired by animals, but not all of these are true. So, however, many animal-related expressions are less literal. So we had just heard the expressions watching like a hawk and going at a snail's pace. And these seem to come from truth because a snail is really slow. So going at a snail's pace is slow. But there's other animal expressions that are not as literal.
Right. Literal means truly, not using any kind of embellishments or exaggeration. Like I could say, I was so scared that I was literally shaking. Sometimes we say we're shaking because we're scared, even though we're not really shaking, but we're using it for emphasis. But if you say, no, I was literally shaking, I was actually shaking, you could actually see my arms going back and forth because I was so scared. So we are talking about some literal expressions earlier to watch something like a hawk or to move at a snail's pace. Those are accurate descriptions.
So one such example is the phrase blind as a bat, which is used to describe someone who has missed seeing something very obvious. So blind as a bat, we have this idiom here, and it's describing someone who hasn't seen something. So they seem to be blind. But in contrast to what this idiom suggests, bats are not completely blind. In fact, they can navigate more effectively than humans.
You betcha. We've got bats here. Of course, bats are not referring to those large pieces of wood that baseball players use or cricket players use to hit balls. That would be a bat. But this is an animal that usually comes out right at dusk, and they're active at night. They fly around and they eat insects and stuff like that. Those are bats. And blind means you can't see. A person can't see when they are blind. If they can't hear, they're deaf. But in this particular case, we're talking about bats. And for some reason, I don't know if it's true here in Taiwan, but in the English language, people seem to think that bats are blind. They've got eyes, but they don't use their eyes, so they can't see. So they get around using those echoes that they kind of chirp out when they're flying. Is that echolocation or something like that? I think think that's what that is called. But we use this idiom to describe someone who just doesn't see something when it's quite clear, when it's quite obvious, to be blind as a bat. But in contrast, bats are not completely blind. It's not true. They're not exactly blind. They can navigate. So here we've got navigate, which means you kind of figure out how to get from point A to point B.
Yes, so bats can actually navigate, or they can find their way more effectively than humans. And the difference is that bats don't use their eyes to navigate, instead producing sounds that bounce off surrounding objects and let them know what's around them. So people have said that bats are blind and they don't use their eyes. So I guess that part of that is true. Bats don't use their eyes to navigate or find their way around. But they do use this other technique, and it's called echolocation, as Roger had just mentioned. And basically, echolocation is when they produce sounds that bounce off surrounding objects and let them know what's around them.
So that's how they figure out how to get around. I guess that's especially useful because they fly around at night. Maybe they can see infrared light, I don't know, but they still use this echolocation to get around. They use it to navigate. I guess sailors in the old days had to navigate by looking at the stars at night so they could figure out which way they were going. Nowadays, they use GPS satellites and stuff like that, so they're okay. That's how they navigate or get around the world. And we've also got the word bounce in this sentence. Bounce. These sounds will bounce off surrounding objects and come back to the bat. The bat will hear it, and it will know exactly how far away those objects are. But bounce most often is used to talk about balls when we're playing sports, especially basketball. Basketball players will bounce or dribble the ball when they're going up and down the court.
Yeah, so bounce is usually used when you're talking about a ball, but it can also be talked about with light or sound. So light or sound can also bounce off of surfaces, just like we were talking about with the bats here.
Indeed, bounce. I should also remember when I was working at the gas station when I was in high school, sometimes people would write checks and then the check would bounce, which means they wrote a check, say, for $20, but then later we took it to the bank and the bank said, sorry, there's no account for this check, or there's not enough money to cover this check, so the check bounced, and then you kind of have a nasty situation because you have to find the person who wrote the check and say, hey, what are you trying to pull here, writing this bad check? The check bounced, but that's kind of a slang term to talk about something else. It kind of came back. We're talking about sounds bouncing off objects and bats flying around. So basically we're saying that that idiom is not entirely true. We can't really say that you're blind as a bat because bats really aren't blind.
Yes, they can find their way around perfectly fine, so they're not really blind.
So again, as we mentioned earlier in this paragraph, in contrast to what this idiom suggests, bats are not completely blind. Okay, so yes, it's in contrast, which means it's the opposite. The idiom suggests that bats are blind, but no, the opposite is true. In contrast to that, they are not blind. At least they're not completely blind.
Yes, and with that, we've come to the end of this part of our article, and it's time to take a quick break.
Crocodile tears is another misleading saying that is used to describe an insincere display of grief. This one arose from the fact that crocodiles produce tears while they consume their prey. Although this is purely a physical reaction, some people have interpreted the crying as faked, since crocodiles no doubt enjoy eating their meals. While an interesting theory, attributing feigned emotions to an animal is logically unsound. The eating crocodile may not be sad, but neither is it pretending to be.
第三部分我们看到的单字是 crocodile， 这个字当作名词，它有鳄鱼的意思。例如，水中的鳄鱼正寻觅着猎物。英文可以这么说 ：The crocodile swam in the water looking for something to eat。再来，我们看到的单字是 grief， 这个字当作名词，代表悲伤、悲痛的意思。所以我们可以说 After his grandmother died, Gavin talked to his best friend about his grief. Gavin 在祖母过世后，向他最好的朋友诉说他的悲痛。接下来我们看到的单字是 arise， 这个字当作动词，它有出现、开始存在、产生的意思。 例如，问题可能发生在你最没预料到的时候。英文可以这么说 Problems can arise when you least expect them. 再来，我们看到的单字是 prey， 这个字当作名词，代表猎物、被捕食的动物的意思。例如After failing to take down a deer, the wolf set its sights on a smaller prey. 那只狼没有捉住鹿，就把目光放在体型较小的猎物上。今天最后一个单字，我们看到的是 logically。这个字当作副词，它有逻辑上的或是符合逻辑的意思。所以我们可以说 Mike gave out his idea and presented it logically in the meeting. Mike 在会议中提出他的想法，并有逻辑的陈述。
Okay, everybody, welcome back. And now we're going to talk about crocodiles, which are reptiles that kind of crawl on the ground. And I guess there are quite a crocodiles in various parts of the world. Australia, I guess, has quite a few of them. And we've got the phrase crocodile tears. That is another misleading saying or idiom that is used to describe an insincere display of grief. So again, a crocodile is a reptile similar to an alligator. People have asked me this question before. Kelsey, do you know what the difference between a crocodile and an alligator is?
I do, in fact. A crocodile has a snout that's more pointed and V-shaped, while an alligator's snout is wider and more U-shaped.
Okay, so it's just a difference in their snouts. They're both equally dangerous, though, right?
I believe so. They both look pretty dangerous to me.
Yeah, I would try to stay away from them. But I guess sometimes crocodiles are sad. Maybe their mother dies or something, or they break a leg or something. So they might cry. And remember, when you cry, you shed tears. To cry is the verb there, to cry, to feel bad, and then water comes out of your eyes. And then the water that comes out of those eyes are called tears, not tear. This is a word that is spelled the same but has different pronunciations in different contexts. Tear and tear, to tear a piece of paper, tear off a sheet or whatever. But here it's tear, which again is water coming out of your eyes. It's misleading here. Usually we use this phrase, oh, you're shedding crocodile tears, which means you're showing grief. You're trying to make us believe that you're sad about a situation, but you aren't sad at all. You were smiling when you killed. You're so happy that you defeated your enemy. You're just pretending to be sad when you really aren't.
Yeah, and we have this word grief here. So grief is intense sadness, and we usually use this word when someone is sad because someone passed away, someone died. So if your grandmother passed away, for example, you might be experiencing grief. So you would be very sad.
You would indeed. So this particular phrase, crocodile tears, arose from the fact that crocodiles produce tears while they consume their prey. I'm from a part of the United States that does not have crocodiles, so I've never seen crocodiles attack a rabbit or something like that and then start crying, oh, gee, I shouldn't have done that. I feel so guilty about attacking this poor, soft, fluffy little bunny rabbit. And so therefore the crocodile is shedding tears. But actually crocodiles love to tear into rabbits. It's one of their favorite dinner treats. I think so. I'm guessing that crocodiles like rabbits. I know I would if I were a crocodile. But again, this particular phrase arose from this fact. Arose is the past tense of to arise, which means to go from a lower position to a higher position. Basically, this particular idiom came about or started to exist or started from the fact that they produce tears when they eat their prey.
Yes, and prey is an animal that's hunted or killed by another animal or a predator for food. So in this case, the crocodile would be a predator and its prey would be whatever it's eating. Maybe it's a rabbit or some other kind of small animal.
Okay, and although this is purely a physical reaction, some people have interpreted the crying as faked, since crocodiles no doubt enjoy eating their meals. So yes, it's physical. They're not really crying. They're not really sad. It's just a physical reaction for some reason. But people see this and they think they're faking it, like fake news, for example. Oh, the crocodiles are pretending to cry when they don't actually feel sad. They actually enjoy eating those rabbits.
While an interesting theory attributing feigned emotions to an animal is logically unsound. So while this theory about the crocodiles crying is interesting, it's an interesting theory, attributing feigned emotions to an animal is logically unsound. The eating crocodile may not be sad, but neither is it pretending to be. So if you attribute something to something else, you regard that thing or you think of that thing as being caused by that other thing. So here we're attributing these emotions to the crocodile. So we're thinking that these emotions are coming from the crocodile.
And this phrase to attribute to, I could say, for example, a lot of millionaires attribute their success to years of hard work. And feigned here means pretended emotions, things that you don't really feel. Logically or reasonably, it's just not true. It's not sound. It's not a good argument. The crocodile may not be sad, but neither is it pretending to be, so that's how it goes. But we do use this to describe people when they shed crocodile tears. They're pretending to feel sad when they don't really feel sad at all. So that means the idiom is not exactly true. But in any case, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. But before we say goodbye, we'd like to hear from our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文的最后一段提到，鳄鱼在吃猎物的时候会流眼泪。那有些人把鳄鱼哭泣解读成是虚伪的。我们读到最后一句 While an interesting theory, attributing feigned emotions to an animal is logically unsound. The eating crocodile may not be sad, but neither is it pretending to be. 虽然这是有趣的论点，但是把装出来的情绪加诸在动物身上是不合理的。鳄鱼也许不会难过，但它也不是在假装难过啊。好，那这个句子看起来有点复杂，我们就一小段一小段来看。前半句的 while an interesting theory， 它是由 while it is an interesting theory 省略了 it is 而来的。那么 while 它是当连接词，表示虽然尽管。当 while 连接两个主词相同的子句时，你就可以把句子简化。举例来说 While it is old, the car still runs well. 虽然那台车很老旧，它还是能正常行驶。那我也可以把句子里面的 it is 省略变成 While old, the car still runs well. 好，那至于后半句的 attributing feigned emotions to an animal is logically unsound， 它是以动名词 attributing feigned emotions to an animal 来当主词，后面搭配单数的 be 动词 is。那同学们要记得哦，以动名词来当主词的时候，必须把它视为单数。那我这边再补充一下 ，unsound 是形容不合理的、没有根据的或者是不健全的。那么 feign。F-E-I-G-N 这个动词它表示假装、装作，意思跟 pretend 或者是 fake 很相近。那你可以用 feign death 装死， feign surprise 装作惊讶， feign ignorance 假装不知道、装蒜等等的。那我们课文里面的 feigned 在字尾加上 ed 是变形容词，表示假装的或是虚假的。至于 attribute A to B 就表示把 A 加诸在 B 上面，这个动词 attribute 它就是指说将什么归属于什么什么，或者是指认为什么有某一种特性。那我们最后来看到破折号后面那个部分 The eating crocodile may not be sad, but neither is it pretending to be. 鳄鱼也许不会难过，但它也不是在装难过。那么 neither 就表示也不，它在这个用法里面呢，是摆在否定的陈述后面，然后再接另外一个否定陈述来表达什么什么也不怎么样。举例来说 I didn't believe his story, but neither did I believe the girls. 我不相信他的说法，但我也不相信那个女孩的说法。好，以上是今天的重点整理，我们接下来回顾单字吧。
Fiction.My brother's description of his trip is very exciting, but it's all fiction. Navigate. Rick can't navigate very well without his glasses. He's practically blind. Bounce. The basketball bounced off the backboard and into the rival team's hands. Crocodile. I'm glad that we didn't run into any crocodiles during our trip to Florida. Grief.The parents' grief over the death of their child was obvious at the funeral. Arise. Financial problems arose shortly after the company was founded. Prey. While in Africa, John watched lions chase and eat their prey. Logically. You might logically conclude that the subway will be busy because it is raining.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I am Kelsey.
See you next time.